and welcome to another current household. I'm so excited to be here and to show you guys what's been going on because so much has happened and it's so much drama. But I've been like dragging this out for so long because I wanted to get so much done before I went ahead and did this. So, in my current household, you're going to notice that, yeah, this household is a little bit big and I will explain everything, I promise you. Starting off with Cheryl because she's here. Still on fleek, girl. Okay, so Cheryl, I'm gonna go ahead and tell her to go on home. So Cheryl and Derek are still trucking along. They are still together and happily as can be. You know, they have no problems with their marriage, and they have officially gotten back on their feet. After buying the new house, they did go through a bit of a thing for money, and it was weird because Derek and Cheryl hadn't been, honestly, they hadn't been struggling as hard as they were for a long time. Like, ever since their first house, even the second house that we moved out of into this one, like, we weren't struggling, even though the bills were really high. And so we were really struggling, and I couldn't figure out why. But I finally eventually got them back on their feet. They are financially stable again, which is awesome. And they're just pretty much trucking along. So just recently they have a scare, that Cheryl was pregnant, and, it ended up being that it was just a scare. She actually wasn't pregnant. And then, it ended up that, they got a little tipsy. They went out drinking together one night and came home and they had some woohoo. And it ended up Cheryl actually got pregnant and they had another son. His name is Damon and he is here. He's still a baby because he was just born. It was a shock to me, let alone to them. I can only imagine. I mean, they've had 8 kids now. And Derek is just about ready to become an elder, unfortunately. He is, 3 days away? 2 days away from being an elder. So he is so close. And, I'm kind of sad for him for the fact that I feel like he might not get to see Damon grow, like age up and grow up and stuff. And so it kind of makes me sad. But, as an elder, I don't know how long they live, but I'm hoping that he'll live long enough to be able to see his son grow up at least to a child, if not to a teen, if hopes for young adult. But I don't know if that'll happen. And Cheryl is still quite a bit younger than him from all the pregnancies and everything. Like, there is a lot going down with them. And so she is quite a bit younger, so she's still got 34 days. Which I tend to think is a little bit much for the fact that when they get pregnant, they don't age up. If I had known that, I probably wouldn't have reversed her age. I probably would only reverse Derek's, and he still would have aged up before her, to be honest. But so yeah, so they've had Damon, and now that kind of changes my plans for Dustin because, as you know, the youngest always gets the household. And so since Dustin's not the youngest anymore, Damon will inherit the house, which means I need to come up with some different plans for Dustin because I did have some plans for him here, but now it's all different. Anyways, so it kind of threw a wrench in the system, but it kind of makes it exciting because I wasn't expecting it, and I just think it's kind of cool that it happened, and that we have some new stuff to look forward to. Unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit hard for Cheryl and Derek as older folks taking care of a young child, but I'm pretty sure that they can go ahead and do it pretty well. So I'm not too worried. That's pretty much all that's been going on with them. I mean, he did get another raise in his career, and so he's up to +3, I think it is. I don't know. I think it's been +3 for a long time. I just think that it just keeps adding on to get a raise, and he's making more money. He has what I planned for him for an elder. Well, when he becomes an elder, I guess I should say, is he is, like I said, 2 days away, and when he was working, he accumulated 22 vacation days. What I plan to do is when he becomes an elder is to allow him to take all of those vacation days consecutively and just take pretty much 22 of his elder life days as vacation days and just be able to go ahead and just relax with the family and do what he wants to do. And especially now that he's got a son that he's going to be raising with his wife, like, that that throws kind of a wrench in the system and makes it a little bit easier for us to come up with some things for them to do. He'll be going to the parks and stuff with him, and it'll be fun for Derek to actually get to raise one of the children and be like a stay-at-home dad, like Cheryl's been a stay-at-home mom this whole time. So I just think that'll be fun for him, especially to go ahead and spend some time with his wife and his kids in his last days, and so that's something that we're working towards here. Now you're going to notice that there is some new people in the household, and I am going to get to them, but first I'm going to jump over to Dawson. So Dawson here, he's got a lot of drama going down. Dawson is okay, so he's recently aged up to a young adult, and as a teenager he had a crush on a girl from high school, but it never ended up being anything more than just a crush. So he eventually, as a young adult, got it with a girlfriend, and, they had some woohoo, and ended up that the condom broke in the process, and so she ended up pregnant. Now, this girl comes to him and says, Dawson, by the way, I'm pregnant, and Dawson, being the kind soul that he is like, we'll do this together, no worries. She actually said to him, maybe about 4 to 5 months in, that she was either going to do she was either going to give the baby up for adoption, let him be a single parent, or she was going to abort the baby, and she didn't want to have it because she didn't really want to be a mom quite yet in her life again, because she knows how hard it was with the first one, and she doesn't feel like she's mentally or physically even ready for a second one. So Dawson's like, no, you can't abort my child, don't get it up for adoption, I'll raise it myself. So he eventually has become a single father, raising his son Dallas. Dallas is in the bedroom right here. This is Dallas here. And, Dawson has been a great father to Dallas. He's worked really hard. It is very tiresome on him for being a single dad and not really having that support from the mom of the child. But, she's decided one thing, and Dawson knew about it early on in the pregnancy, and he decided to continue on with the pregnancy and to raise his child on his own. So, it is going to be a struggle for him to be able to have what he wants in life now, because everything revolves around his child. But he's looking at it, his mom was like, Dawson, if you really want to go through with it, I wholeheartedly stand behind you. I would do the same thing. I would want my child as well. And so Cheryl is helping him raise his son, even knowing she's not helping as much as she could. She's got her own son that she's raising now too. And that kind of made it a little bit more difficult for them as well, to have a child of their own to have to raise, and then to also have, their son's son to raise. Their grandson is now someone that they've got to try and raise as well. So it's been a very big battle uphill with Dawson and trying to get him help. But in the process of everything that was going down with, this girl and the breakup and, how messy it was, he was very vulnerable, and so the girl that he always had a crush on from high school ended up contacting him, and she just needed someone to talk to, and so she contacted him, and she told him, listen, my baby daddy found out that I wasn't quite as faithful as I had expected to be with him, and things have gone really bad, and I'm out here and I'm on the streets by myself with this baby, and I honestly can't raise a baby on the streets. So she was like, can you help me in any way? Money, anything, please. I really, really need your help. And Dawson, the kind soul that he is, went to his mom and was like, Mom, listen, this is the situation. What should I do? And Cheryl's like, you can't leave that girl out on the streets. You just can't do it, Dawson. You must bring her home. We'll have dinner, and we'll see what the situation is. So Dawson brought home Marin Lothario, and he brought her home, and he was like, this is Marin. She's from my high school. She's got her son. They've living on the streets for a week now, and she's really in need help. Mom here, what should I do? Should should I move out and like move her into my house, or what should I do? And Cheryl at the time, because he had just had his son with the other girl, ended up saying, listen, no, I know how much you care about this girl. I know how much she means to you. I know that it's a struggle to be a single parent, and you're going through the same struggle as her, so you guys could bond over that. And I think that maybe we should allow her to just live here until either you move out and, you know, she moves with you if you choose to be that, or you move her in, she gets back on her feet, she gets a job, we help her get a job, we help her get back on her feet, and then she moves on her way. And so that's what happened. Marin decided that, you know, she was going to take up their offer for help because she doesn't like to ask anyone for help. And it was just, she definitely knew her son could not be out on the streets with her in the wee hours of the night. You know, it was getting cold out at nighttime, and so the baby was going to be cold. And so she just knew she needed to take up the offer that they were giving her. And so Cheryl laid down some ground rules like, listen, you know, this isn't like a forever home. You know, we can't do this forever. I've got my own kids that I need to raise here. This is my home. And, you know, we're offering it to you as some place for you to get back on your feet. And until then, I will buy you clothes. I will buy you whatever you need. I will help you money-wise until you get to that point. And Dawson's here for you as well. But, you know, you've gotta come out on the top of this. And so she moved in with her son Vivek. Vivek is now a child because he's aged up. And so they've moved in and they've been bonding. Now Marin, you know, Dawson's always had a crush on Marin, but Dawson didn't know that Marin had a crush on him as well. And so the couple weeks or maybe even, you know, months that they've been living here, Marin and Dawson have become a thing. And so, you know, in their vulnerable states, both of them, with Dawson going through the whole thing with, you know, the baby moms not wanting to be there and the struggle of being a single parent, they really, really bonded over both being a single parent and bonding over the fact they're both going through a lot of struggles. Ended up sleeping together one night, and Marin actually ended up pregnant. And so Dawson and Marin are now boyfriend and girlfriend, I do believe. I believe they're boyfriend and girlfriend. And they're together, and they're raising their daughter, Misi, together. Misi is their daughter together, and they're raising her together. And, you know, now not only is Marin raising her daughter with Dawson, you know, Dawson stepped up and kind of been a father figure to Vivek. And, you know, Marin has stepped up and been a mother figure to Dallas a little bit. And so it's been really nice to see everyone just kind of bonding. And she does help out a lot around the house. And Cheryl loves Marin. They get along absolutely well. They go out on outings all the time together. And they just really have that bond that's amazing. That, you know, Marin always wished she had with her own mom, but she never actually knew her mom. Now, obviously, you guys know Lothario. It's obviously Don Lothario's child. And Don Lothario is going through some situations of his own. So that's why he couldn't actually help his own daughter out, because he's going through a bit of a hard time as well with everything that's going on in his life. And so he was like, listen, I really can't help you right now. You're just going to kind of have to kind of figure out something on your own. And that's why she reached out to Dawson, because she knew, you know, she cared for Dawson, and she figured Dawson might care for her, but she wasn't 100% sure. And so she's just trying her best to, like, you know, do the best for her children. And honestly, she is so far a great person. You know, as you can see, she really cares for the babies. She cares for her son to the extreme. Like, she would do anything for him, even if it was to give him up so that he could have a nice home and she lived on the streets. Like, she would have done it. But that's not obviously what she wanted. And so that's why, you know, she reached out to Dawson, and Cheryl was willing to help a girl in need. You know, it's important that that she got the help that she needed, and she is getting back on her feet. And she's helping Cheryl around the house, especially with the babies and everything, while everyone else is at work. Like, she's just happy to help, and she honestly doesn't take this for granted. You know, she lets Cheryl and Derek know every day how thankful she is they allowed her to come here and stay here and live with them, and, you know, to have the chance to be part of the family. in a sense, because now she's with Dawson. So that's pretty much the story between Marion Lothario and Dawson Millman. Obviously, they're not married, they're just dating. I don't know if they're going to get married. I don't know if Marion and Dawson actually want that to happen. I don't know. I don't really know. Oh god, he got the wishy woo with her. I don't honestly 100% know what he plans on doing with Marion or if it will even get to that point. But so far, they're just raising their daughter together, and that is their main focus, is raising their children. And they're working really hard on it. And they wouldn't change anything for the world at this point. Then we have Dale. Dale here is like, the sweetheart of the family. He's always been after Kelly, and him and Kelly have been bonding a bit. I'm pretty sure Kelly is married, but it has not stopped Dale, and it has not stopped Kelly. She calls him all the time to go out to dinner. She is literally always on the phone trying to get him to go out to dinner with her, and they've been hanging out. He actually ages up in another week, so in a week he can either choose to go with Kelly and, pursue her even more than he already has, or he'll decide to go his own special way, and we'll see what that is. But at this point, he's kind of up in the air. He knows that she's married. He knows that it's a sticky situation. His mom has been like, listen, Dale, that's not the best idea. If she's married, let her be married, let her live her life. But Dale has always been so hard-headed, and when he gets his mind set on something, he just goes for it. No matter what what happens, he just tries to get what he wants, and he's wanted Kelly since the first time he laid eyes on her. And so it's just been to the point where he is just literally infatuated with her. He can't get her out of his mind. They hang out all the time, even when she's married. And honestly, to be honest, I do think Kelly has feelings for him. I just think because she's older, she hasn't really shown those feelings. But I feel like once he ages up, maybe Kelly will step up and be like, listen, Dale, I actually like you too. And they'll have to figure out their situation as well. Obviously, if she's married, it's a sticky situation because she'd have to get a divorce. If she's got kids now, I don't really know. But if she did, is she going to fight for custody for them? Or is she going to give custody to her significant other that she's with right now? I don't know. I don't know if Kelly is willing to give up her children, or if she has any. And, I don't think Dale should expect that of anyone. And I honestly don't think he would expect that of her. He would just expect her to, be there when he really needed it. And I think that would be that's a great thing to have. So that's pretty much what's been happening with Dale. Let's get Marion out here to watch some TV, and we'll let Cheryl eat some dinner. Hold on a second. Just want to give her some food. Eat some of the what else? Gumbo. Alright, then we have Dustin. Dustin's still young. He's still working on his skilling. He's got all that skills and stuff. He is so excited to have a little brother, though, that, he's going to be able to age up with. And they're kind of close in age. Not too close, but close enough where they'll be able to get out. And he loves having Vivek around. Vivek is like his lifesaver for the fact that he really loves the fact that there's somebody to play with. He was born late in the family, and so everybody else was aged up and moving out, and then you just have him as a child, and he doesn't really have anybody to play with, and so he's just been like that lonely child that you see just playing on the playground by themselves. Yeah, that's totally him. And not because, he's a lonely child or anything, just because, like I said, the whole family had already aged up. They had aged up and moved out, and then, he was born, and so he struggled a little bit there with getting out of his shell a little bit, because he was such a, quote unquote lonely, it was like an only child. Even when he wasn't, he was. And so he struggled a little bit. But moving Vivek in, he's learned to getting a little bit more accustomed with sharing, and he loves having someone to play with all the time. And honestly, I think Vivek likes playing with Dustin as well. They're best friends, or gonna be best friends someday. But they seem to love to hang out and play together, and I just think they're the cutest. So that's pretty much this household and all the drama that's going on here. I did put just the bed in here for Vivek, and he just sleeps down here because his mom's bed's right there. And then we did get a couple of workout machines. Nothing really much else has happened with the house. I haven't really touched anything else on the house. It's pretty much all the same as it was. But that's pretty much it. So we went over like the drama between Marin and Dawson and his ex, and then these two with the new child, and then, you know, the kids. So let's go ahead and move to the next household. Will be Daniel's household. We'll go to. So Daniel's household has got drama as well, and the reason I say this is because there is a big shocker about to happen. I mean, the babies, they might be a shocker. Let's be honest, 3 babies in one house is like freaking, but with a lot of people to help take care of them, this is like a shocker that I don't think any of you guys will see coming. I don't think any of you guys will see it. You guys might already notice something is odd about this household. And you're probably noticing what is odd. So, here it is. While this loads, I'm going to start telling this story. Hannah and Daniel have the 3 kids, Hazel and the 2 boys. And they have been raising them forever. But, as you know, Daniel is the only person in this household who had a job. The stress was starting to get to Daniel about this job. And Hannah not having a job. And, you know, she's working on a garden and she's trying to do her best raising the children. But they were drowning in bills. The bills were stacking up, and they didn't have money to cover them. And Daniel had asked, you know, Hannah, like, hello, could you help out a little bit? Maybe get a part-time job, maybe try something. And she was like, no, it's going to work out. I have faith in you that you can do this for the family. She's very set in her ways of not having to get a job and just kind of live at home or do stuff at home and not really have to worry about anything. And so she didn't want to actually get a job, and it really, really, really started to bug him, and he decided that he was going to go out drinking, and that was going to be his way of letting loose. He knew he was drowning in bills, but the best thing for him at the time was to get out, get some air away from the family, rethink his plan of how he was going to, approach Hannah again about the problems that they were having financially, and see if she would step up. And, he got home, and all Hannah did was scream at him for spending money on beer. And so he got angry, and they got into an argument. And, they hit a rough patch, and he decided that, he was almost ready to throw in the handle and be like, listen, it's over. I'm done with you. I can't do this anymore. I just want to, get a divorce and move on and do my own thing. So he decided that he was going to stay in a hotel for a couple of days this week, and we haven't heard from him since. He has been gone he's been gone since Monday of last week, and Hannah hasn't heard a word from him. She's left him many voicemails please come home, we miss you. The kids miss you. At least come home for them, if not for me as well. We need you home. We can't do this without you, kind of thing. And it just ended up that she's not getting any calls back. And she doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know if something's happened to him, or if, if he just doesn't really honestly want to talk to her. So, she's been really, really stressed about it and trying to figure out, what she can do to make the situation better. She contacted Cheryl about it to see if Cheryl had maybe seen him. And asked, for advice in the situation, what should she do? Should she continue to nag at his phone or should she continue to like just kind of run her life and hopefully he comes home soon and hopefully things are worked out. And Cheryl told her to give him some time, that she's sure Daniel hasn't left her. You know, he's not that kind of person. He will be back, to have faith in the marriage, even knowing that you're going through a rough spot. Like, you know, everyone goes through the rough spots, and if you didn't have rough spots, what would you have? Nothing. You wouldn't have anything. No one's perfect, and so Daniel isn't acting appropriately. He's not acting like a man. He's acting like a child right now. And just to give him a little bit more time, and then, you know, call her back in a couple of days if he hasn't showed up or she hasn't heard anything from him. So, you know, we're just waiting for those couple of days to pass and to see if Daniel's actually going to come home and be part of the family again, or what's going on with him. But at this point, it's just Hannah and it's just the kids, and they are just working on everything that needs to be done for them. You know, they're just trying to live life, even knowing it really sucks that they don't have their dad right now. The kids they're working through it. They will get through this together. You know, they got to band together as a family right now and just work on it. And, you know, Hannah's upset more or less at the fact that, you know, it ended badly with them, and she loves Daniel wholeheartedly, and she doesn't want anything bad to come of their marriage. She wants to be a family, and she never expected for this to ever happen. You know, no one ever expects their marriage or their life to have bad things come of it. But, you know, she's taking it day by day, and she's doing really well with staying positive for the children, because she honestly doesn't know what's going down. She doesn't know where Daniel is, and it's starting to freak her out that she hasn't heard from him in a while. She's starting to think something bad has happened. But, you know, Cheryl kind of like, you know, pushed aside that worry and just said, listen, he's probably just like taking some time. He can't be there for you all the time, and you expect him to be there all the time for that. So that's kind of what happened. And so that's what's really going on here. Nothing much else with the children. They're just children, so they don't really have much going down. But it's just Hannah right now, and she's raising 3 kids on her own. Honestly, you know, she's gonna have to get a job. It kind of forces her hand because she hasn't heard from her husband, and she doesn't even know if he's gonna be back. And so it kind of forces her hand to get a job. And she kind of feels like this might be a ploy from him to make her get a job, but she doesn't want to be like, yo, are you doing this to make me get a job? Because it's kind of rude. Like, she's just going to get a job, and she's going to work her best magic to make everything happen. And if you honestly don't believe me that their relationship has fallen apart, I can prove it to you that it's fallen apart, because they have barely any romance bar anymore. But so that's what's been going on with them. They're just kind of quote unquote separated. I don't really know what you would consider it. You can be like separated but not divorced. So I think separated is the best answer for them right now. They're just separated. You know, Daniel's out there trying to hopefully figure it out. Hopefully that's what's going on with him. And we'll have to wait and see what happens with them in the next one. Obviously, he's not dead because you can see that he's right there. He's alive. So we know he's not dead. But, you know, I can't promise anything else for what's going to happen in the future. I don't know where he is or what's going on with him, but, you know, we'll hopefully be able to figure that out. We'll hopefully be able to figure that out soon, what's going on. And hopefully Hannah and him can work it out. And if not, you know, it was for the best. They gave it their all, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. There's nothing we can really do. We shouldn't get upset about it. I mean, I'll be kind of upset because I loved them together. But I know Hannah and Daniel, you know, if they're not happy together, then they're not happy together, and that's just how it goes. So hopefully we'll find out in the next episode of this what's going to happen with Daniel and Hannah, the lovebirds that hang all over in Cheryl and Derek's house. So that's pretty much this household. Let's go ahead and switch to the next household, which is Dre and Nolan. They've got a little bit of a surprise as well. Man, everybody's got a surprise, don't they? Dang. Alright, yeah, I think everyone pretty much has a surprise. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is gonna be exciting. Alright, we need to go to the different world. They live in... Dre live in Oasis Springs. Okay, Dre and Nolan have a bit of a surprise as well, and I'm sure you kind of seen it. So, Nolan is now an adult, and before his dad's passing, which happened just a little bit ago, not a little bit like in real life, like in the game. So before his dad's passing, he had spent a lot of time with his father, just trying to like talk to his dad and figure out, you know, what these feelings that he was having, or what was going through his head and all, what was going on with that, and why he was feeling the way he was feeling. You know, he just wanted to feel like he knew what was going on with his life. And Nolan was going through a lot of like, some days he would be really, really happy with Dre, and then some days he would be really, really like depressed and like want change, and he didn't know what the change was. And so he was asking his dad, like, do you have any suggestions, Dad? Like, what's going on with me? Why do I feel this way? And his dad said, Nolan, I'm going to tell you in your old age, now that you're getting up to, that it sounds like, you know, you're a little bit upset that you and Dre aren't married, and that you haven't taken that next step with him. And I think that if you take that next step and you propose, and you're just really anxious to know the answer, but you're too scared to ask. And so he had told him, like, you know, maybe it's time that you step up to the plate and be the man of the relationship and ask Dre to marry you. And so Nolan did. He asked him, and Dre said yes. And they didn't have a big wedding for the fact that, you know, they don't really have a lot of friends. They really don't. And they invited their parents, their family, and their friends, and that was about it. And they got married. And Nolan had decided before they had gotten married, you know, he had talked to Dre a lot about children and how much he loved children, he wanted children. And so he was like, he had gotten into the idea that obviously they're two males, they can't reproduce together. So it was either they get a surrogate mother or they adopt a child. Those are their options. And so he weighed both of his options, and, you know, he found out the pros and the cons of each. And it ended up being that, you know, adopting was going to be a little bit easier for them in their situation. And so he decided to look into some adoption agencies. And he did. He looked at some of the children who were up for adoption, and, you know, he applied without Dre knowing, and he wanted it to be a wedding surprise that he would give him after their wedding. And by the time they got married, they had the adoption almost finalized, and he had picked out Little Miss Star here to be their child. And so, you know, after getting married to Nolan, you know, Nolan said to Dre, listen, I've got a surprise for you. And he pulled out the adoption papers, and Dre was ecstatic. He was so happy that Nolan had, you know, went to such an extent to make it an amazing day, not only because they got married that day, but because now they have something beautiful to share together. And Star was a child when they adopted her. She wasn't a baby, you know, she wasn't anything like that. And so they get to raise a child on their own. And Dre absolutely adored Star when he first saw her in the adoption agency the night after their wedding. He just, like, you know, couldn't wait. And so they eventually went back and picked her up and brought her home with them. And it was just like, it was like the most memorable moment of their lives, probably, besides their wedding. You know, it was just amazing. And, you know, Dre and Nolan are so happy to have Star in their lives. And honestly, it's like, you know, it's like one of those days when the parents that you know of are like, I can't imagine my life without you. But before that, you didn't really miss it because you didn't have it and you didn't know that you would ever have it. And so, now that's how they feel about Star. They can't imagine life without her. Like, she brought them so much happiness, and she even has brought them closer. She's made them closer than ever before, and they just are so ecstatic to have her in their lives. And so this is her bedroom. I've added it onto the back of their house. I do need to fix the roof, but this is her bedroom. She's got lots of cool things hanging around her house, and she gets to just go ahead and chill in her bedroom whenever she wants and do pretty much whatever she wants. I mean, she's got a computer, a TV, she's got toys in the living room. She just literally can do whatever she wants. And they adore her to the fact that they literally give her everything she wants. They don't have anyone else to spend their money on. So Star is their pride and joy, and she gets what she wants when she asks for it. And that's pretty much how they're raising her, to get whatever she wants when she wants it. And that might not be the best solution for everyone, but it seems to be working for Star. And especially for the fact that she was she was a child when they adopted her, and so she didn't have a lot of stuff when she was a kid. So for her, it's like the most exciting thing in the entire universe. It makes her so happy that they get her what she wants. And I'm not saying like if she asks for a freaking horse, they're gonna go out and buy it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they purchased the toys or computer, whatever, and they made sure she had a nice bedroom before she moved here. Just for that fact. But unfortunately, recently, Nolan's Papa Bear has passed away. I know it shows him here not as a ghost, but he has passed away, unfortunately. And so unfortunately, that's just how the cookie crumbles, I guess. And his girlfriend also has passed away. So there's nothing really left there. And his sister, has got her family trees going with her new man, and she's got all these kids. I don't know. She's got a lot going down. I don't really keep up with her story because it's not as important to me. But I know that Preston has actually passed away, unfortunately, and so Nolan is no longer with any parents. He is parentless and surviving. And he's got Dre. I mean, Dre's here for him no matter what. Dre will always be here for him. But it's definitely not the same as your dad when you need someone to talk to. So that's pretty much what's happened with them. They've just adopted their baby girl Star, and they're just living the life of the lap of luxury with their baby girl, and just so happy to have her. And that is pretty much that. So the next household that we're going to jump into is Casey's household. Casey has got a little bit of stuff going down as well. Not as much, but more. A little bit. She lives in Newcrest. She lives next to where Daniel used to live, right here. So let's go to Casey. So as you can see, Casey and James have decided to have some children. Casey is a stay-at-home mom like her mom, and James is the dad, and he goes out and gets all the money. But with the whole ghost thing, they have got a bit of a problem because she wants to go to the police now. She wants everyone to know who James really is, and she wants, him to pay for what he did to her. And so Casey is getting upset because she's got 2 children now by her husband, or her. Is he her husband yet? He is her what? He is her soulmate? Engaged. They're promised. They're promised. So he promised to marry her one day, and so the stress of the whole dilemma with the ghost and everything that's went down there, this girl is trying to literally destroy Casey and his life. And so James has kind of been pulling back from Casey for the fact that he's scared he's going to be going to prison. He potentially could go to prison for murder, and he could never see his kids again. And so he's been kind of pulling back from Casey, and Casey, keeps telling him, like, listen, it's not going to happen. You don't have to worry about it. We're going to fix this. We're going to figure it out. You don't have to worry about it. We're going to get through this together. Don't worry about it. Just stick close to me and we'll figure this out. And she hasn't told her family what's going on because, that means telling them everything that's happened. And she doesn't know how her family would react. So she's just been kind of very pulled back from the family herself. And I think Cheryl's kind of catching on that something's going on with Casey, and she doesn't know what it is, but she needs to know. And so she's just been trying to. But their first son, Jackson, is here. And Jackson is a sweetheart. He is hot-headed. But he loves the color pink. So his mom was very happy to have a little boy who she could dress his room in pink. Because let's be honest, Casey would love to have a baby girl, but it didn't happen. Not saying that it won't, but the chances are getting more and more thin. So they've had Jackson, and Jackson is a sweetheart, seriously. Even though he's hot-headed, he's still a sweetheart. And he just, works, he plays around at home and goes to school, and that's pretty much it. But look how much he looks like Casey. It's so sweet. I just like, oh. Anyways. And then they have their second child because she got pregnant again, and his name is Julian. So they have 2 little boys now, and there are their when she went to the hospital and delivered them. But like I said, Casey would really love to have a baby girl. I don't know if it will ever happen, or if, I don't know if it will happen or if it should happen or whatever. But I'm just saying that, that's just kind of how it goes. And it's going to be hard for them to, for Casey to give up on that hope, because she's always had that hope. She was little, she always wanted to have a little sister, and now she just wants to have a little girl. And so I don't know if they're going to try and adopt one or what's going to happen, but she would love to have a little girl in her life. And so even though she's got the little baby boys, she loves her boys, but she really wants a girl. And so she's trying to kind of convince James that, maybe a third child wouldn't be so bad. Maybe we could go for a third one. But James is pretty set with the 2 boys. He doesn't really want to budge, especially with the fact that he's scared he might be going to prison anyways. Like, he doesn't want to try for another kid right now. He wants to just wait it out, and Casey's kind of like, we can't really wait it out. Like, I'm getting older by the day here. I want to have them raised so that I can get a job and I can help support the family, and help you out, and then we can raise them together. And James is not quite feeling it, though he did pop the question. No, they're just promised. Never mind. He thought about popping the question and was like, should I or shouldn't I? And it was when she was pregnant, and he was scared that if he proposed to her while she was pregnant, that Casey was going to feel like he was doing it just because she was having a baby. So he decided to wait. And, now he's waiting even longer for the fact that he's scared that Casey, he might be going to prison. He doesn't want to lock Casey down with him. If he's going to be in prison, he can't do that to her. So they're trying to get that whole dilemma situated, but it's really taking a toll on their relationship, the fact that they're pulling back from everybody and everyone that they love. And, James is terrified that he's going to have to leave behind the people that he loves the most in this world, which is like, his girl and his boys. He doesn't want to leave them behind, but he's really scared, and that's why he feels it might be best that, maybe he leaves. Maybe he just disappears for a while. He doesn't really know what he wants to do yet. He's just contemplating, this person is threatening me and my family's life. You know what I mean? Like, that could screw everything up for them. And so he feels like maybe running away would be the best option for a while. And obviously he can't take Casey and the kids with him, because that's not running away. That's just up and moving. He's talking about literally leaving Casey and the kids behind to go try and get rid of this dilemma, and then coming back years later, and hopefully, they're still waiting for him. And Casey doesn't know about this. She doesn't know that this is what James is thinking, but it is what he's contemplating. Just because he doesn't want to hurt them, he wants them to be safe and he wants them to be happy. And he feels like this burden is definitely weighing down the family. So that's something that's going on here with these Millmans. And the last household that we have to visit today is Dean and Callum. Let's go to Manage Worlds. Dean and Callum, they are the last ones, I believe. Yeah, they should be our last household to talk about. And honestly, if I'm going to be wholeheartedly honest, I don't think really much is going on with them. They're kind of just chilling. They are chilling. Let's see what happens. Let's see what has happened. I know there's been some speculations. Well, not speculations. Some thought going into a possible marriage soon. But I don't know. I don't know whether that'll happen soon or not. And, the burden of everything that went down with Casey, Dean doesn't know about it. He doesn't know about what happened between Callum or Psycho and Casey. And, it's starting to weigh on Psycho for the fact that he's holding this really, really big secret about him and Dean's twin sister. It's really hard for him to look Dean in the eye and not tell him, like, listen, this is what happened. I'm really sorry, and I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. And it's kind of making it very hard for Psycho to stay very truthful, and he's feeling like he's lying to him every single day. And so Psycho's kind of weighing the options of possibly telling Dean, maybe even with Casey sitting there, face to face, trying to do it. But he's scared that if he tells Dean, that things between him and Dean aren't going to be as good as they ever were or are right now. And so he's not sure whether that's something he's willing to give up to tell the truth. Like, he's not sure. So he's living with this burden that he wants to tell, but he's not sure if it's the right thing to do. And so I think that eventually Psycho will or won't decide to tell him, but I think he might get some help from Cheryl or Casey. Maybe talking with Casey or somebody would help him come to a decision about what he should do. And, he wants to be as truthful and honest with Dean as he can, but keeping the secret from him is not being truthful. And he doesn't feel like going into a marriage that he should be holding this big, deep, dark secret about him and his sister and what's happened in the past. So he feels like maybe it's time to tell. But he knows that it will crush Dean, and so he's got to weigh those options and see what he wants to do. And that's pretty much that. Dean doesn't really have much going on. He's just been working on his career, trying to get to the top of the culinary career. And, he is kind of just chilling. He isn't rushing to get married. He isn't rushing to have kids. He is just A-okay with it just being him and Psycho at this time. And he doesn't really feel like he needs to rush into anything. He feels like, everything will happen in its time. And I agree, everything will happen in its time for them. And I don't know if they will get married, and I don't know if they won't. I can't promise that, and I can't also promise that they'll have kids, So they just gotta live their lives to the fullest at this point, and do what they want to do. So guys, that is pretty much what's been happening in my current household. If you guys liked it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think. What do you think of all the different stories? I would love to hear what you guys think about, the whole thing with Dawson and the baby mama drama. And, the whole drama with Daniel. Where is he? Where is he gone? Why is he missing? Why can't, anyone get a hold of him? Is everything okay with him? Is James going to be able to hold that burden in and deal with it? Or is he going to run away from his problems and try and deal with them that way? And will Psycho be able to come out and tell Dean the truth about what's happened in the past? Or will he live with that burden and that lie and take it to the grave with him? because he's too scared to tell because of what could possibly come out of it. And what will happen with Marin? Will she stick with Dawson, or will she move out of the house and just go on her merry way? And is she actually being truthful? Was she really, in dire need of help, or did she use the Millmans? And how are Cheryl and Derek gonna cope with Derek becoming an elder? Are they going to be able to handle raising a son together at an older age, or is this going to be too much of a burden and somebody else in the family is going to have to step up? I would love to hear all your guys' thoughts about what's going on in the family. And also, I would love to hear about your guys' current household. What's happening in your current household? Let me know in the comment section below. If you guys liked it, please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to my channel. In the description below, there's a donation link if you'd like to donate to the channel, along with things like my Facebook fan page, my Twitter, and my Twitch links. Also, don't forget to check out the 24-hour stream schedule, which is up on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So don't forget to check that out and be there if you can at Saturday, Eastern Standard Time, noon time. So until Sunday, noon Eastern Standard Time. And I will talk to you guys in my very next one. Thanks very much for watching.